Give me a little minute here to get set up. Most likely will not be responding to comments. I'm more concerned with working on this, and I am actually making a video at the same time, so you're going to see that happen in real life too, hopefully. All right, what we have got here is a microphone case. What we have here is a carburetor from a completely stock Harley-Davidson Sportster 883 Hugger. And, well, it's just misbehaving. So, I honestly do not think it is necessarily a carburetor issue. To be honest with you, I feel like the bike possibly has bad intake seals. I don't know. I don't have the whole bike here. This is kind of impromptu, helping out a brother with his bike, and didn't really have time to get it on the trailer and get it over here. So I just run over his house and grabbed the carburetor. See, have we got any battery for the GoPro? Y'all gotta wait just a moment or two here. What's cool, because there ain't nobody up in here watching yet anyway. Hey, we got somebody. What's up? Change the GoPro battery out, because we're gonna film as much of this as possible and actually make a little how-to video. Now, this is not an S&S carburetor like you've seen me work on my other Harley-Davidson. This is what comes factory on a pre-2007 Harley-Davidson Sportster. I do believe 07 is when they made them fuel injected. This one still runs a constant velocity carburetor, of which I am not a fan of. Some people love them. I don't necessarily have a problem with them. I just prefer an S&S because I do. Some folks like the Mikuni carbs. I like S&S, and it's a personal preference. I don't honestly think there is that much difference in the two as far as performance, but a lot of folks will argue with me on that note, and I don't care. My bikes will run an S&S carb, and that's what my bikes will run. And that's how it is. If you like Mikuni, you run Mikuni. Your bike, your choice, right? Right. Don't mind me. I am setting up a GoPro right quick here. Get her powered up. Something like that. All right, we're rolling. What we've got here is a carburetor from a stock Harley-Davidson 883 Sportster. It's a constant velocity carb. The bike's not behaving itself. I don't have the bike here. I suspect that the issue with the motorcycle is not with the carburetor. I think it's the intake seals. But for shits and giggles, we're going to crack this open and see how everything works. Constant velocity carburetor, if you don't know the way it works, got a butterfly valve on this side. When you crack the throttle, you open this, you allow suction from the engine to come in through here. This draws a low pressure system right here and sends vacuum up this circuit into up here where there is a diaphragm and spring. That moves your slide up to give more air to the engine, and as this needle comes out of the jet, more fuel gets sucked out with it. You can see the needle is tapered. The higher the taper, the more fuel. This is also equipped with an accelerator pump, and I do believe the shot comes out right here. As you can see, hooked onto the throttle is the rod that actuates that. That's just a little diaphragm with two little check balls connected directly to the float, so that when you whack the throttle hard, whack it open hard like that, you don't create a lean system all air and not enough time to suck fuel, a little shot of fuel will come out. Now on an S&S, this is adjustable. It is not adjustable on a factory carb. Now let me show you guys something. For you all American only Harley-Davidson, do you see that in the live? My people in the live, do you see on their little overgrown pinky fingernail? Do you see that? Do you know what that is? This is a Kean carburetor, okay? Got a Harley badge. Look, I know a Kean when I see one, and that little K proves that this casting was a Kean carburetor. I'm going to go ahead and take the float off of this. I'm going to pop the diaphragm. I'm going to cut the GoPro. There's folks watching this live. If there's anything you miss in this, you can go ahead and refer to the live video titled the same as this. So I will see you guys in just a minute. Okay. Now that is out of the way. Can you guys see good up in here? Beard looks like her. Well, boy, you better buy her some clippers, buddy. How you doing, Joe? Glad to see you in the live. It's my good friend Joe. He's in a couple of my videos. He's a fellow that was on the A-Bait run with me a couple of years ago. The one where Mrs. Phoenix Motorsports got stung by a bee. Actually, Joe's bike that she rode back on. Let me grab a something or another to put down here. This bike belongs to my good friend Ghost. He is a member of Goodfellas Children Coalition. It's a motorcycle group that helps out kids that are being bullied, kids that are in abusive situations. Sometimes the police don't do what they need to do because they're constrained by, you know, laws and stuff and rules. Well, these guys aren't. Everything from escorting a child home from school because he's being bullied to straight up extractions of kids that are in extremely abusive situations, get them up out of there. And Ghost is a part of that. They do great work. They're great people, which is why I'm helping him out here today. And if you watched my recent trailer video that I made for the channel, like I said, my prices doing this stuff varies, and honestly, a lot of it depends on how much I like you. I like Ghost. He's a great guy. So we're going to help him out. And as of this evening, being as I'm slightly limited on time, we're basically just going to pop this guy open and have a quick, ooh. That was loose, Ghost. That might have been your whole problem right there, buddy. This screw was loose. If you don't have a good seal on this. He went through the carb a little bit. Ghost isn't exactly a mechanic. He can do a thing or two, but as he puts it, he generally leaves a lot of stuff to professionals. Actually lives kind of close to me. So I just took a ride over and picked this up. He had already had it off the bike. Basically, what he's telling me, takes a long time to warm up with the choke, but once it's warmed up, it'll idle. And mind you, it's cold out. So for those of you who are going to, you're idling an air cool, it's cold out. Okay, it's winter. He had it idling for a half an hour, and it idled and chugged along just fine. The moment he gave it gas, it wanted to cough and die. Well, that's telling me it's either A, not getting fuel, or B, this diaphragm's ripped and it's not allowing the carb to open up and do carburetor things. Or C, the intake gaskets on the cylinder heads are rotted out. It's an older bike and it only has 3,900 miles. It's a clean bike too. That makes me think that maybe, just maybe, those seals are bad. And we got no dirt in there. That's a good sign. And the diaphragm actually looks good. When you work the slide, you could hear it. You could hear it doing diaphragm things. Okay. Being as the bike has little to no miles, first inspection, the needle floats loosely like it should. There's no wear on the needle. I can't feel any ridges. You can see the diaphragm is not torn. And some of the coating is a little worn on this, but it's not worn to where it's going to create a vacuum leak. I can also see the bike's been backfiring through the carb, and that could be another cause. Let's pull the needle up out, get a closer look at it. Oh, it actually has an adjustable. You can adjust this, take this clip off, move it up and down. Okay, you can see how this is tapered. So as it comes out of the hole, that taper means it's smaller here, so smaller plug in the hole, more gasoline can come out. So you can change the richness and how quick the fuel will come into the carburetor. But we're talking about a factory bike with a set of Screaming Eagle slip-ons and 3,900 miles. I don't think it needs any adjustment. Look up in here. Look at all the carbon. Yeah, she's been backfired into a couple of 3 times, huh? For sure. That's a lot of carbon. He was having some issues getting the float off. As you can see, the screws are a little boogity-boogitied, so let's go ahead and see if we can get them to come right out. If not, well, we're just going to have to use the impact driver on them. Yep, that's not going to come up. Oh boy. Impact driver, it is. I hate doing this on these little carb bodies. And I'm going to knock my GoPro over doing that. Move that to the floor. A dang $400 camera. This may need to be soaked. I think this one popped loose, though. Yep, that one came loose. Yeah, that one came loose. Proper tool for the job, Ghost. Pick you one up. This is a Harbor Freights one. They're like 20 bucks. Impact drivers and impact drivers and impact driver. They do the job. Who's commenting? I don't know, and it's in another language, but right on. Thanks for watching. That looks like maybe a Middle Eastern language. Right on. Are we going the right way here? Yep, we're going the right way. Always got to check myself, man. I'm human. I make mistakes. Okay. Yep, we got them screws loose. Nice. All right. Let's get the bowl off. Okay, this rod will come out with it. Good deal. What we're going to look for now is bad jets. Oh, it's plugged up. Excuse me, plugged up jets. A plugged up primary jet could cause this issue. I don't really think that's what the issue is. I'm still leaning towards intake seals because These Evos are notorious. It's just a little rubber O-ring in there, and they go bad over time. And I really, really think that's what the issue is. But his bike is over there. I'm over here. We didn't have time to load it up and trailer it over. So we're going to do the next best thing, pop the carburetor off, and just have a little look-see. All right. They look good down inside, nice and clean. I have seen better float bowl gaskets, but this one is still serviceable. The floats are doing float things. And where did that? Need me a flashlight for this. Well, I could see through the main jet, but not the primary. Interesting. Don't like that. All right, it's GoPro time. Sorry, live folks. Appreciate you watching. It's not your carb, Harry. Charlie, this is off a Harley-Davidson Sportster. Read the title, you fart knocker, you. Motorcycle buddy, this is for a Harley-Davidson Sportster. We get back to actually what I do here, making videos. You don't seem to watch my videos, but you watch the lives. Dig that, whatever. Start. All right, folks, we have got the float bowl and top of the carb apart. As you can see, she's been backfiring through the carb a couple of times. It's not uncommon, but it's not good. Float seems to be doing float things. If you watched the live, I had the needle out, but the needle doesn't have wear. We just got to build up a carb on here. Like I said, she's puked and stalled a couple times. Down in the bowl, it's pretty clean. There's a little schmutz in the bottom. Let's grab a pick real quick and see if any of that'll move. I don't think it will, but yeah, that's in there pretty solid. We will scrape that out before we put it back together. So I shined a light up through, and I can definitely, this is the main jet. I can definitely see clearly through the main jet. Now, he said that the accelerator pump was working, which would be this circuit right here. When you whack the throttle, a rod pushes down into here, pushes on the diaphragm, and squirts fuel through this circuit here and up. Now, on an S&S carburetor, you can adjust this Harley, stock Harley carb, also known as a key-in carb. You cannot adjust it. But I do know that when I first whacked the throttle at his house, just messing with it, it squirted fuel. The diaphragm's working. We can take that apart and just have a little look-see at it, but I do believe we do not have an issue there. And like I said, this is mainly an inspection of the whole shebang. So let's go ahead and open up the... why? Yep, we're going to need an impact driver on that. That's what I cut the camera for the first time. Let's get out the impact driver. Yep. All right, never mind. We're going to put it all back together because I need the impact driver on that. Or can I? Yeah, I really can't use the impact driver on it without really damaging it. Let me see. Maybe I can get it. It might take a little whack here. Right like that. Give it a little tappy tap. Tap-a-roo. All right, we got it. These are indispensable. You don't, pardon me, sniffles, it's cold. You don't have to wail on things with them. Just a little tap is all you need. Now, when you take this apart, you gotta be very careful. That diaphragm is spring loaded, so I'm gonna try to keep your fingers over top of this all the time because it will shoot across the room on you. And there's two little teeny tiny, looks like BBs. They're little check balls. You absolutely need those. If you lose those, you need to buy a rebuild kit and get them. Those of you who have watched my channel for a long time know that when I bought my Super Glide, she was being funny and didn't want to take fuel. I tore apart the carburetor and found that the fellow who rebuilt the carburetor did everything properly except for one thing. He had lost one of those check balls. It never functioned properly for him until I got my hands on it. Okay. Yeah, I've seen better in my day. Gently get this out. I have seen better accelerator pumps in my day, but this is still serviceable. Okay. You see, understand how that works? That little rod pushes on this. It creates a little suction, and through them two little check balls in there, shoots fuel. But this is perfectly functionable. I do not see any tears. That is not the major malfunction. So we're going to cut this video, and I'm going to go ahead and put this all back together. Check one more little thing. I'm going to get a little thin piece of wire and just make sure I can poke through these jets. If these jets are clear, we're good. You know what? Let's do one more thing. I doubt there's a problem with it, but let's do it since we're here and the camera's rolling. We'll go ahead and knock this pin out. Or not. Check the needle seat. I'm going to do that off camera because I don't want to waste any more footage. Let me see. Do I have a needle here? I used to have one laying here to show you guys what a... Oh, here it is. Okay. So underneath here, you can see right that little piece of metal that's connected to something like this. Okay, what this does, as the float drops down, that allows fuel to fill the float bowl. When the level of the float bowl is correct, enough fuel's in it, it'll literally float this up and push this little guy against the hole. Now I'll put it against a white background. Maybe you can see it. This is an example of one that is slightly worn. And you can see there's a little bit of a ridge around it. Now, you can imagine it's sealing against that hole. If there's a wear ridge, it won't seal. This bike's not having any float issues. I'm just going to take it apart off camera and have a look-see at it. But there you go. There is your carburetor inspection. Reassemble it in the exact reverse of how you disassembled it. Things to look for. These could be plugged. Your jets can be plugged. Your accelerator pump, this little thing gets rotted away, will tear. This diaphragm right here can get tears. Your needle can get worn. But I don't think there's any issues with that. I think what the problem with this motorcycle is, it needs intake seals. I really do think. But anyways, thanks for watching. And if we do put intake seals, we will make a video and show you guys how to do that. I'm going to cut the camera. Like I said, watch the live. You'll see the making of this and everything else that I'm doing. Thanks again. Okay. Now that's out of the way. Hey, what's up, Road King? All right, so I'm not seeing anything majorly wrong with this carburetor at all, other than obviously the bike has definitely been backfiring through it, and that's they do that, but it's a little excessive. The bike's all stock, does not have an aftermarket ignition. Really shouldn't be doing that. I don't know. You know, I'm not even going to fight with this pin. I'm not going to guarantee you that that's just not the problem, because it's just not. This little O-ring here has seen its better days. I can get the phone to focus. That has seen its better days. It will still seal. So Ghost, you don't necessarily need a carburetor rebuild now, but soon-ish you will. Not this instant, but I'd give her another 10,000 miles and please continue using that fuel treatment that I spoke of. The enzyme stuff is nice, but it does not do what Stable Marine 360 ethanol treatment. That is the ultimate for carbureted bikes. Please, everybody, if you have a carbureted bike, please buy it and use it, or don't use it and bring me your carburetors. If you bring me the bike with the carb on it, in other words, bring me the whole bike, I charge $125 flat rate, and that includes your rebuild kit. That includes, now that is per carburetor. If you bring me a Japanese bike with 4 carbs, you're paying me $500. That includes removing the carburetor, rebuilding the carburetors, reinstalling them, and tuning them properly, including synchronization. And trust me, get you an old Goldwing, take her to a shop, get the carbs cleaned and synced, and see what they charge you. You will find that my price is more than fair, especially for the amount of work involved. But this being for a brother, especially a brother who's part of a motorcycle group that helps children, we're not really worried about all that. We are going to do a little bit of carburetor cleaner down inside there like that. And a little scratchy scratch at that little black spot at the bottom. I'd like to see that come out a little cleaner. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But honestly, this wasn't very bad. He did clean the carb out, and he did a pretty good job. Everything was correct. As you seen when I tore it apart, everything's where it was supposed to be. It was put back together correctly. Where is my goddamn rag? No, that one's full of grease. Now here, this will work. I got to get a box of these little shop towels. They work wonders sometimes. All right. Would really like to, let's see if I got a screwdriver small enough. I'd really like to pull that jet out and try to blow air through it. I don't know if I have any wire pieces small enough to actually fit through there. Pardon me, tedious small parts, small screwdriver. It's a little difficult to narrate and deal with that at the same time. This isn't exactly the best screwdriver for the job either. Needs something a little thinner, a little shorter. Will this even fit in that hole? Probably not, huh? Nope. How about this guy's a little too small, but this is a little more what I want to work with. Just a bit you're kind of doing it by feel. There we go. All right, this is the primary jet at idle. This is what will give the motorcycle fuel at idle. Okay, you can see it's about as simple as they come. It's just a little hole. Holes through here. It meters a certain amount of gas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to blow a little air through it. It is absolutely clear. I'm sure you can hear that. I can easily blow air through it. And if I put it, you guys probably ain't going to be able to see it, but if I put it up against something white, I don't know, I can see it. Phone may not pick it up. But if I put it against something white, you'll see the white light. All right, so it's clear. The primary jet's clear. The main jet, the fatter jet, that is also clear. Carburetor like this, the way this would work, this little tiny shitting thing, that is idle to quarter throttle. When you get beyond quarter throttle, the big boy takes over. So if your bike's stumbling and not running right, but then when you whack it wide open, it runs good, that's a sign that your primary is clogged. Just snug. You don't kill them. You just put them in there snug. Now the main jet, as I said, I'm sure you can see through that guy. See it? Daylight through it. It's perfectly clear. There's no issues with that. I could continue to fight with this for the needle valve, but basically you'll know if it's a needle valve problem because the bike will overflow gasoline. It didn't. That doesn't want to come apart. I don't want to force it apart simply because I know there's nothing wrong with it. So for the sake of a video, I'm not going to put myself through that torture. One last time to inspect this seal. No cracks, nothing like that. It is flattened out a little bit, but it is still serviceable. The shop charging you money out the wazoo may tell you you need a new one. I will tell you, I've seen way worse last way longer. Now, here's a good example. Little piece you missed. You see that white shit? That's what's left over from ethanol gasoline. Today's gas is freaking garbage. And the only reason we're putting corn squeezins, corn juice, ethanol, basically moonshine, the only reason we're putting that in gasoline nowadays, it's for the farm bill. It's to help the farmers. That's why they do it, man. You say whatever you want to say. That corn, the money from all that bullshit, it goes directly to farmers. That's why we do it. Just fucking raise the price of vegetables and shit and give me regular gas, huh? You know what I'm saying? Make me happy. Give me good old regular dino juice. Keep that fucking alcohol corn shit out of it. Pardon my language. But then again, hey, I'm a bit of a motorcycle carburetor specialist, so it makes me money. So yeah, I guess keep putting corn squeezings in it, and I'll keep taking people's money for rebuilding carburetors, right? I'm an asshole. And I'm also getting tired. It's been a long day. Homeboy leaves the house at 4 in the morning to go to work at 4:30. Okay. Now, Ghost, when you put these, if you're watching me, snug. That's all you really need. You don't have to kill these. Snug. Snug, snug, snug. Okay. Don't kill them. Snug. When you kill them like that, they become a total pain in the behind to get back apart. That's all the more they need to go. Just a little wrist tight. I got pretty powerful hands, but a little wrist tight snug like that. And we'll go ahead and drop the diaphragm back in her. Cleaner side went this way like that. And that's pretty straightforward. You can see the diaphragm and the needle. The needle drops down into the main jet. And it should just drop right in like that. Okay, and you've got to be careful with this seal. Diaphragm has to remain sealed. It's kind of a devil to do this sometimes. I'm going to try to cheat it. I should have actually taken this throttle linkage off, but I didn't. Yep, I'm going to have to. Bugger. All right. To at least loosen this, get it out of the way, because you really need that diaphragm to sit in there flush. It has to, or it's not going to do diaphragm things. Okay. That's basically all this does, is hold your throttle cable and your idle adjustments on it. But you really need that diaphragm to sit down in there nicely in its little groove. Ghost, that could have been your issue too if you had this off and cleaned it out. If you didn't have this tucked down in the groove nice and snug like such, that could have caused what you had going on. Gently place this back atop. Replace all but this screw, of which we will replace in just a moment. Okay, now last screw. Put that in last because it holds, if I get it in the right flipping position, it holds down this. And what we're going to do here is just get it started a few threads. I'm on your double. We're not going to make it tight just yet. We just want it to be started a bit so that we have a little wiggle room here to return our throttle. What the fuck would you call this part? Throttle plate screw. You're going to fight with me a little bit, are you? You're going to lose if you fight me. Promise you, you're going to lose. Why are you not going down all the way? So I got you upside down. I do. I got you upside down because I'm talking and not just working. My bad, folks. My bad. And dang plate's tweaked. Interesting. Why are you fighting me? Taparoo. Little tap, tap, taparoo is sometimes needed. Ooh, guys, the threads don't feel so good. Snug her up. 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 Let's put the big bit to it. Set back to loosen. All right, so that, ladies and gentlemen, was the inspection of a constant velocity carburetor. I really just put that back together and didn't put the spring in it. I really just did that. Son of a basket. I'm human. I make mistakes. That goes under there. And I didn't put it in. Back apart it comes. Dang it. There you go. If I can do this, you can do this. We all make mistakes. I just made a stupid one. At least I caught it before I gave the carburetor back to my buddy, and he put it on this bike and it ran wide open for no reason. That would be why. All right, we got to lose this here hoodie. It's too hot. What's up, Miles? Harry Green. This is off the Harley-Davidson Sportster 883. Can't believe I made a mistake that stupid. So I'm doing these lives, like, and I was just talking to Mrs. Phoenix Motorsports about this. Like, it's one of the hardest things to do is to work on something with a freaking audience. You ask any mechanic, dude, they'll tell you, like, you don't believe, just go to your local car shop, get your car, get something fixed on your car, and stand there and look over the dude's shoulder. See how quickly he tells you to get the F out. You know, that's basically what I'm doing here. I'm working on something with y'all looking over my shoulder. And, well, sometimes we make mistakes. The important thing is we catch them and we fix them. Life is all about mistakes. A lot of folks won't work on their own bike because of shit like this. And in a way, I'm glad for that because, you know, I make a few dollars. But at the same time, I'm not glad because I want to see more people working on their own motorcycles. I do. To me, personally, that's part of being a biker is working on your own bike. What kind of biker just takes their bike to a shop? Like the dudes that got me into motorcycles, like my dad's friends in the 80s and shit, they fucking laugh at you. Took it to a shop, what the fuck? Okay, maybe a high-performance engine or something. You take it to a guy who's a master at building high-performance engines because you got a lot of money in parts. Yeah, I can understand that, but little dumb shit. Carburetor rebuild, carburetor clean, valve adjustments, tune-ups, timing adjustments, which is kind of non-existent on today's bikes, but nonetheless. Sure, we get the diaphragm in. Let's listen. Hear that? Diaphragm's doing diaphragm things. Once again, start a few of these screws, just enough to hold the cap down. But yeah, back in the days, dude, 60s and 70s. Come on, man. You think of a biker, traditionally, they're going to wear black leather and like a black t-shirt, right? Right? That's what you're thinking. Well, it's not. They didn't do that back in the day because it looked cool, okay? You wore black shirts because your fingers look like this from working on your bike on the side of the road. You get grease on you, and black shirt kind of hit it. And leather, well, it's more than just for looking cool. It's for sliding down the street if you have an accident. Saves your hide. But everything's a friggin' fashion trend nowadays. Shine up your bike and go to bike night. Well, I'm not a bike night type of guy. I'm a up inside the garage fixing some old junk kind of guy. That's where I'm happiest. Either out there on the open road enjoying them or down here in the garage working on them. That's what gets me going in life, man. That's what makes me happiest. I honestly wish I could do this for full time for a living, but not a certified, never went to school. I've just been doing it all my life on my own bikes and for friends and stuff. And I have this little shop that is a complete dream come true, man. If you know my story, you know that 5 years ago I was pretty much homeless, man. Where to live, I had a drug problem, had an alcohol problem. And in 5 years, I'm telling you, I had $20 to my name, man. I had to call my mom, talking about, Mom, I need a place to crash. I was so embarrassed. 40 years old. I was so embarrassed of that. Stayed there a few months, got back on my feet, rebuilt my life. Got 2 of my dream motorcycles. I met Mrs. Phoenix Motorsports before I bought them bikes, but bought 2 of my dream motorcycles. A nice car. Got this house. Got this shop. Like I said, 5 years ago, dude, I had $20 to my name. Pickup truck with a blown head gasket, a broken down Goldwing, and about half of my tools. Everything else was gone. Pandemic and shitty people taking advantage of me that I thought cared about me. Wham, wham, boo-hoo, whatever. The point of the matter is, I quit drinking, I quit drugging, and I rebuilt my life because this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to work on bikes. I wanted to spread my knowledge, and that's what I'm doing today. That is how you inspect a constant velocity carburetor, and I'm going to show you one more time something on here for you friggin' Harley purists that should know this but don't, or maybe don't want to accept it. Do you see that K? Do you see that K? Okay, let me show you something. Remember, I don't just mess with Harley-Davidson. I mess with all manner of bikes. Let's see if this has the K symbol on it or not. This is a mid-2000s. No, it doesn't have the same. You might have to take my word for it, but this is off of mid-2000s. Oh, there it is, right there. Do you see that K? Don't that look awful familiar, that little symbol? Kian. Kian. Underneath it. Japan. Now, dig this. Bar and shield. Harley-Davidson, right? Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson. Fuck yeah, America. See that right there? That's a Japanese carburetor that came factory on an American bike. The more you know, folks. The more you friggin' know. All right. That's all the more wrenching we're going to do. Get the phone flipped around. And, hey. Well, damn, I lost 2 viewers as soon as you see my ugly face. What the fuck do you think? I'm a fat biker with a big beard. And my teeth busted out in a motorcycle accident. Is what it is. That's what you get. I'm not a freaking beauty queen. All right. Q&A time. Any questions? No? All right. Let me put some tools away here. Folks want to ask me anything about what we learned today, I will gladly answer any questions. Now, carburetor cleaning, people talk about, I had the carbs cleaned. It's basically doing what I just did. The only difference is they're going to take carburetor cleaner and a little picks and scrape out any goop and a little brush and clean it. Maybe they'll put it in an ultrasonic tank, you know, clean it that way. But that's basically all it is when you're paying the shop. I can do that. You can do that. Hey, good night, Charlie. Don't work too hard. There is 2 different kinds of carburetors that you generally see, okay? And I've talked about this in other videos before. And I explained to you how this works. Vacuum draws across here, and that causes that to rise. This is a 2-cycle from a race bike, and the slide would go through here, and the cable is hooked up directly. The slide pulls up when you pull the cable. See on the bottom, there's your main jet. The needle comes out of the main jet, gives gas to the engine, and it's the same setup. There's just a little plastic cover. Main jet, primary jet. Plain simple. 2-cycle, a little bit different on the choke. Basically, you don't, like a car, you got a flapper that blocks it off. On a 2-cycle, your slide blocks it off, right? When you pull up on this, you're opening a little valve, okay? Now you see this down here? This goes directly into the fuel supply in the float bowl. When you open this valve, you allow the vacuum from the engine kicking over to suck on this little port right here and suck fuel directly up through this little port inside here and directly into the engine. It's important on a 2-cycle. Okay, when they're cold, they ain't been running, they need extra fuel. Simply because that is what lubricates the bottom end of a 2-cycle engine, is the gasoline and the oil mixed. Okay, so it needs that extra fuel until the engine's up and running at speed and drawing enough fuel to lubricate the bottom end enough. Oh, cool. My water didn't freeze. I was worried about that, dude. We were down to like 10 degrees, 9 degrees the other night. I have the heat on low in here. I keep it at like 50 degrees. For that reason, to keep the shit from freezing up. But when it's that cold, I worry about it. And as you see, my pipes are all insulated. And there's electric heating wire going around them from the house to here. So technically, it shouldn't freeze, but I worry about it because that would not be a cheap fix if I blew a water line and had to dig my yard up. That would be, we just don't got water in the garage till spring. And that's something I really don't want. Don't want that at all. All right, I'm probably going to call it a night. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. Substance known as crap exists in the bottom of older tanks. Yeah. Thou shalt not run carbs on reserve without an inline filter. Thou shalt not run a carburetor without an inline filter. How about that? Kenny phrase. I guess that says Kenneth phrase. All right. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor. Remember, smoking's bad for you. You know what else is bad for you? Watching my videos without liking and subscribing.